We're gonna get to the root cause of your porn habit. You've been trying to quit, you've tried everything, but you've been unsuccessful. There's probably a root reason that you're not understanding. And trust me guys, after mentoring men for more than 10 years now, the reason you think you watch porn is not the reason it actually is. So watch this video all the way through, and it's gonna help you discover what's really going on so that you can address the right thing. This video is from our program that I'm making free for you guys, totally accessible for you guys for 30 days. It's at benuyama.com. Check out the description if you want to join that free program. If not, just watch this video all the way through and I'll see you. Enjoy.
This is a question a lot of people have when they start a program or they mentor with me. They ask themselves, what does it actually take to beat this thing? Because you've tried a lot of things, right? Many years or maybe decades even, you've tried to beat porn on your own, but you haven't had success. So you wonder, at the back of your mind, you're wondering, is this even possible to beat this thing? And fundamentally, there are two things that are required to beat porn for good and have long-term success. Number one is that you have to replace the habit. You can't just abstain from porn. We've discussed that already. You have to replace the need for porn in your life with your North Star, or something that is more in line with where you want to be and who you want to become, so that porn just doesn't become an issue for you anymore. That's the part of it. That's a factor. The second thing that is critical, that across the board is essential to people beating porn, is to figure out the root cause of why you use pornography, okay? And to explain this idea, I want to use a metaphor or an analogy. And this is something that I think will really help you understand your habit. And that is, if you woke up one day and you had a rash on your arm, like a tiny little rash, and you thought, oh, interesting, it was itchy. So you went to the doctor and you asked for some kind of prescription, like a cream. And the doctor gave you a cream to put on the rash. You went home, you put the cream on, and it disappeared temporarily, instantly disappeared. And then the very next day you woke up and the rash was back again, but this time it was bigger. And then you went back to the doctor and you said, Doc, can I have some more cream? What's going on? So the doctor needs more cream, you put more cream. You do this every day for weeks and weeks and months, until the rash is just bigger and bigger, and every time you apply the cream, it just is bigger the next day. This, my friends, is exactly what it's like to have a porn and masturbation habit. The cream is not actually helping you with the rash. And so how do you, in this analogy, in this metaphor, how do you actually get rid of the rash, right? You stop using the cream altogether and you just let it kind of heal itself naturally. But here's the twist that a lot of people don't get. I'm going to take this analogy a little further, is that the cream itself is causing an allergic reaction. Let me say that again. The cream that you're applying to the rash is causing an allergic reaction, and it's temporarily soothing it, but then the very next day it's inflamed and it's bigger and it's more itchy and it's more red, right? So this is exactly what it's like to have a porn habit. Your brain believes, because you've trained your brain over many years, or the porn industry has trained your brain into believing that you require this cream in order to soothe this rash. You require pornography in order to soothe a root cause that is causing this rash, or causing your desire, the need to use porn in your life. And you're just soothing that root cause with more cream, or in this case, more pornography. But the trick is, the thing that people don't get, is that cream itself is causing the rash. In other words, your porn habit is causing you more anxiety, more stress, more depression, more boredom, more desensitization to real sexuality and actual experiences, to the point that you require this cream, this porn, in order to experience life, right? The thing is, however, the fastest way to get rid of the rash is just to stop using the cream, go cold turkey, and just get off of it. And this is why doing the porn reboot for at least 28 days for 4 weeks is really critical to beating porn and having long-term success. So in this video, I'm going to go over some really common examples of root causes that I've seen with a lot of people. And my thing is that I believe really that there's always one singular root cause for a lot of people. And of course, we're very complicated, and many times we have certain traumas in our life, or certain experiences that shape our beliefs about ourselves, and we'll get into that a little bit at the end. But fundamentally, I think it's actually a lot simpler than we might think. There's usually more to do with the root cause of why you use porn, has nothing to do with porn itself, if that makes sense. In fact, pornography, your use of pornography, has really nothing to do with porn. It's more to do with the reason that you use it, and the reason that the escape mechanism that you've created in your life, the system you've created in your life, the crutch that you've created in your life to escape certain emotions or to deal with certain stresses in your life. And I'm of the belief that there is usually one singular stressor in your life, in everyone's life, that is causing them the most amount of anxiety and stress, that is causing them to go to porn most of the time. And of course, like I said, we're more complicated than just one thing. But if you find that singular stressor in your life and address that, your chances of beating porn drastically increase, because you stop using porn to soothe the rash on your arm. Instead, you focus on what you should focus on, is why you even got the rash in the first place. Why is it that your body is having this reaction and creating a rash? When you address that, you won't have the rash anymore. You won't have the need, the urge to go back to pornography. Okay, so far we've established that you need to replace the habit with something. You need to replace your habit, because abstaining for the sake of abstaining is not going to have any success, because you're always going to go back to porn. Why? Because porn, you've found, is the easiest and quickest and simplest solution to all of your problems in life. And we'll go over a bunch of them, right? And as long as your life is just kind of mediocre and not exciting, but rather kind of boring, then porn is going to be the easiest way to soothe your emotions and live your life, right? And the second fundamental thing that you need is you need to figure out the root cause and actually have the discipline and the daily habit. This is really where the rubber hits the road. The daily habit of identifying the root cause of why I'm feeling today this urge to watch porn and act out. We might think that, maybe you saw something triggery on Instagram or on TikTok or on a TV show, and that because of that you were triggered down this rabbit hole of wanting to seek out pornographic content. That's actually not the case, all right? And I'm willing to bet and argue with you that the reason that you're going, when you feel urges, is because something in your life is at the root causing you this desire to escape something, okay? So here are the most common examples that we found. I'll start with the first one being relationships, because this is close to home for me. This was my big root cause. When after we were married for a few years, I had brought my porn and masturbation habit into my relationship. Unintentionally, I was really clean from it for a few years, and then soon after our relationship, I started slipping and sliding, and I put my guard down, and I was hit really hard back with relapses, and it actually lasted for a number of years, and it was really the biggest shame point in my life, because I was really kind of like an upstanding guy, and I was a man of faith, and I had pride in my relationship with my wife, and I didn't want to talk to her about it, and I couldn't let anyone really find out about this thing. So the bottom line for me, what I want to get to, is that when my wife and I had tension in a relationship, and trust me, we had a lot of it, especially in the earlier years of our marriage. Since we've been married for only 11 years now, but in the beginning stages, it was really tough. And it was really at those moments where we were butting heads and struggling so much and arguing about stuff. And it was because of that friction in a relationship that was causing me the most stress in my life. And I realized that at those times when our relationship wasn't good, when it wasn't smooth, when we were really butting heads, when we were not united and synced up with each other, but rather we were at each other's throats for whatever reason, it was at those moments that I felt the most stress in my life, and that I was most susceptible to acting out and watching porn and masturbating. It was always like clockwork. Every single time I acted out and slipped up, it was because my wife and I were arguing or fighting about something. And it was always the easiest way for me to escape that emotion of stress in a relationship and just bring me to relaxation and justify my habit and saying, oh, my wife is, she's mean, and she's not being sexually appealing to me, and she's just, and I might as well just go to porn, because porn is the easiest way for me to experience, sexuality and anyways, all this justification that was going on in my mind, right? So for me, it was a relationship. It was singularly that relationship that caused me the most amount of stress. But here's the thing, guys. I'm not here to tell you that it was my wife. Like, it was her responsibility to make sure I was happy. It was not like it was her fault. Absolutely not, that I was causing. But it was really when I had to peel back the layer, and we'll talk about that in a bit, and realize that I had a lot of stress and anxiety and actually trauma and stuff I had to deal with, when I really asked myself, like, why do I feel this tension in our relationship, this anxiety when we're fighting? Like, why? And I'll actually give some examples at the end when I talk about peeling the layer. So another example, just to move on from here. So relationships, maybe a relationship with your one of your parents. I know for one guy that I was working with, he was coming to our group calls every week, really like all over the place, really inconsistent. Like one day he was a 1, the next day he was a 10, and he was just kind of spiraling out of control. And then suddenly, like through our kind of peeling back the layers, and we realized that at the core of his stress was really his relationship with his mother. Okay, now this is not a child; he's his 30s. He's a young man, right? And when we identified that his relationship with mom was causing a lot of stress, I asked him to really focus on that relationship and take her out on walks or go eat stuff occasionally, and he really invested on communicating better with her. And after he did that, he started coming to our calls really consistently, like on top of his sexual integrity. He had recovered. He had full control over his porn habit, and then he eventually came to a place where it was over a year that he was clean, and then he started helping other guys beat porn and masturbation, right? So here's a clear example of one of many people that identified the single thing that helped them address the root cause of what was causing them stress in the relationship. Maybe it's a relationship with your father that you have, or your mother, or one of your siblings. Maybe it's a relationship with your spouse or fiance or whoever it may be. Maybe it's a relationship with God or spirituality or your beliefs, right? Maybe that relationship with God you have is not where you want it to be. And because of the relationship, that there's tension in your relationship with God or whoever, it's causing you stress to go back to porn. And that stress is causing you more shame. And then that shame is causing you to go back to porn to escape those emotions, and it kind of spirals out of control. Guys, there's a reason that emotional awareness is one of the most critical parts of beating porn and masturbation. This is why some people are way better at handling addictions and less susceptible to addictions than other people. Is because some people have better self-awareness and emotional awareness, so they can identify their emotions and release them in a productive way instead of running away from them or bottling them up. If that's making sense? So another example is through school or work. This is extremely common. You're stressed because of work, because your boss, because your teacher, your professor, because you have some stresses around your career, or you're not really going anywhere, or there's something like that, okay? I'm not here to tell you that that's right or wrong, or which direction you should take in your career, anything like that. But what I am saying is that it's your response to those stresses that is your responsibility. And you do not have to let those stresses or anxieties build up and become a justification for you to escape those situations and watch porn and masturbate, okay? So that's why it's critical to find out when you're feeling the stress from work or from school, or when you come home from school or from work, you're just so tired and just stressed out about it, and you just want to go back to watching porn, and that's the only thing you found to soothe, and you've kind of built this habit around it, like, I worked hard today, therefore I deserve something at the end of the day to kind of relax. And that's basically been pornography, right? So I hope you know where I'm going with this. There's a root reason why you feel anxiety or stress around this thing, because the actual stress itself, like work or school, is not causing you to watch porn, if that's making sense. It's not like your stress relationship with your boss or with your loved one, a family member. It's not like they're causing you, like forcing you and possessing you to go to porn. It's nothing like that. Obviously, we're adults and we can agree that you are deciding yourself to take yourself out of that situation or that negative emotional state and put yourself into a state of temporary relaxation through watching porn and masturbating. So we can agree that it's your decision. You're deciding to do these, and it's nothing to do with the circumstance itself. Does that make sense? Because if you put the same person in the same environment, people respond very differently. My wife and I are very different in the way that we respond to our children, for example. I might get a lot more stressed out when there's like someone spills milk on the carpet or something, and my wife's kind of just like, it's fine, make them clean it up or just clean the carpet or something, right? So another area of stress is obviously finances, and it's kind of related to work. So finance is a big stress for a lot of people. It's a point of a lot of anxiety. But my point is, when you find out why is it that, ask yourself this, and I want to try to peel back the onion and peel back the layers here. Try to ask yourself, why is it that finances is a point of stress for me? Why is it that I feel anxious when I can't pay the bills, or when there's a big expense, an unexpected expense, or I didn't have any money left at the end of the month to save or to take my wife out on a date, or anything like that, right? Why does that cause you stress? And really just pinpoint that and write it down. And what you'll find at the core of it is that there is a certain level of anxiety or insecurity and stress, a stressor there, maybe a point of trauma in the past in your life that you have never really addressed. And this is really critical, because trauma is obviously one of the biggest pain points that leads people to using pornography and substance abuse and developing addictions, right? Another point is boredom, right? And I'm going to get into this quite a bit here, because I honestly believe that most people in our world are living a really boring life, to be honest. I think most of us, and I kind of include myself here, but at least I feel like I found a way to escape being a boring person and living a boring life, because I found like my calling. I found what excites me and is doing stuff like this for you guys, right? But I'm convinced fully that anyone who grew up in today's culture, especially with the emphasis on preschool to, think about this logically, right? Kids who are growing up in an environment where from the time they're 3 or 4 years old, even earlier, to the time they're graduating high school or college, entire like 20-year period of their life, they are led down this path in believing that they should do X, Y, and Z with their time, with their focus, with their energy. And if you don't do X, Y, and Z, you're considered an outcast, and you don't know what you're doing with your life, right? But the reality is, and I'm not trying to debate, I'm not trying to say that it's right or wrong to go to public school or private school, anything like that. But the reality is that most of us have been led down a path of just not knowing what to do with our lives. If you think about it logically, a kid who's going, to school for 20 years straight, Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day, and maybe some break here and there, like what energy do they have left at the end of the day to really find out what makes them come alive? Like what makes them excited in life? Basically, we've been trained in almost every culture of the world to squash down our passions, to squash what we feel like we want to do in our lives, and just kind of follow a cookie cutter system. Like this is the reality. I have kids myself, and I understand. I went to school myself too, and I understand that when you come home from work or from school or any of your day-to-day duties, you have very little energy and motivation to do the things that really make you passionate and make you come alive and make you just want to become the best version of yourself, right? The first thing we want to do when we come home from school for most of our lives is what? Just goof around, play video games, watch porn, watch TV shows. It's not to like go exercise or become a professional cyclist or make videos or be creative, but essentially our societal view on life has been basically taught that kind of thing isn't important. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying that this is a true reality that a lot of us are bored. Like a lot of people are bored and just have not had the time or energy to figure out what you're really excited about, like what you really are here to do. What are you put on this planet to do? What is God or whoever created you to do? And I think this is one of the fundamental root causes of why people use porn. Is because when people are working and going to school, spending most of their waking hours doing that sort of thing, they have nothing left to give to what they really care about. You have nothing left to give if you're working a career that you absolutely hate and you have no passion for, and you have very little time to actually do things that you care about, like raise a family or like work on a passion or a project or help people or develop a mission or do something with your life and become a leader in your own right. And that's because we're bored. And I say this all the time, but as long as your life is boring, porn will always be part of your life, my friends. Why? Why do I say that? It's because the easiest way to escape life is to go back to porn. I was talking with a guy a few weeks ago who has chronic headaches because of some medical condition, right? And he says, like, Ben, the only way I can escape these headaches is to watching porn. I was like, are you like, you believe that? Like you honestly believe that the only way to soothe your headaches is through watching porn? It may be one way, but there are 100 other things that are better for you that probably would do the same effect. It's just that porn has become the easiest solution to take you instantly out of a state of stress, anxiety, whatever, headaches, into a state of relaxation. Porn is the easiest way that you have found to take yourself out of a state of all of this, whatever stresses you feel in your life, and take it into a state of relaxation temporarily. You're putting a Band-Aid on, you're putting the cream on it, and you're not actually addressing the root cause. And this is what all of these things are, okay? So that's boredom. Now I want to get to the how-to, right? Peeling the onion. This is a practice that I use and I've taught to people that's really effective in helping people deal with urges in particular. Like the next time that you feel a strong urge, or think about the last time that you had a strong urge, right? Think about that right now. And you kind of were just battling it, right? Maybe you gave up, maybe you slipped up, maybe you gave in. Think about why that day in particular you were feeling stressed out. Think about what was causing you that stress, what was causing you that anxiety in that day. And sometimes you don't know it, right? And that's what I'm here to help you guys do and figure out what's going on in here. What was causing you that? And try to identify it. For example, if it was a relationship, right? I'll use myself as an example. This again was my biggest stress. When I was stressful in my relationship with my wife, we were arguing, that was the biggest stressor. So I had to have the discipline and the habit of figuring out, okay, calm down. I feel really stressed out because I am fighting with my wife. And I know that when I'm fighting with my wife, I feel really triggered to go and watch porn because I know that's a really easy way to escape this feeling. Let's put a bookmark in that. Now my practice here that I'm teaching you guys, peeling the onion, is always asking the question, why? Always ask the question, why, until you peel it far enough to figure out what the root cause is, right? For my own example, I feel really stressed. Why do I feel really stressed about my relationship with my wife? I could just say, oh, she's a biatch. She's just being mean. Like, no, that's like my opinion, right? That's my belief. But let's keep it on me for a second, right? I feel stressed about my relationship with my wife because I really value a good relationship. I really, really value having a good relationship. And when I don't have a good relationship, I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm failing as a man. I feel like I'm not providing for my wife. I feel like she's unhappy and I'm failing my duty as a provider for our family. Okay, why do I feel like a failure? Why is it that my relationship with my wife is causing me to feel like I'm failing in our relationship? Well, it's because my parents raised me in a way that I believe that I really should be a good husband, and that's kind of like my greatest mission in life. Okay, why is that relationship, why is it so important for me to portray to my parents that I have a good relationship with you see where I'm going with this? That why do I feel this need to portray this? Well, I feel like I need to be perfect all the time. I feel like I need to be perfect with everything I do. Okay, why do I feel like I need to be perfect with everything I do? Well, if I'm not perfect at everything I do, then I feel like I'm letting down my parents. I feel like my parents are going to be upset at me because I don't have a good marriage. And so when I keep peeling that back, and then at the root of it, I'm realizing that I have a lot of actually trauma and experience in regards to how I was raised with my parents, because my parents at certain points in my life, I recall, did get kind of upset at me or angry at me. You know, it's not their fault, obviously, but they got angry at me because of some situation where I felt like I did my best at something and it wasn't good enough. And so I feel like I have to be the best version of myself all the time. And if I'm not, and if I feel like I'm failing, or if I'm not up to my standard of what perfect is, then I feel like a failure. And that's where I start spiraling out of control. Do you understand where I'm going here? Let's use a different example, a big one. Finance, right? Why do I feel stressed about my finances currently? If, things are generally going okay, I'm surviving, I'm alive, I have income, right? Why am I stressed if a sudden bill comes up or if, the market tanks or anything like that? Well, I guess because when I was a child, we didn't have a lot of money and caused a lot of stress in my life. And I feel like that's just going to cause a lot of stress because of that, right? So you can see how this always kind of goes back to something that's at the root of it. And when you can do that, this is what's important, guys. You have to have somebody to share this with. And if you're in any fortunate situation where you have a spouse or loved one or anyone in your household, a parent that you can talk about this kind of thing, that's the best thing you can do, guys, is because you can actually address your porn habit without talking about porn. Talk about accountability, talk about sharing with your spouse, your wife. It's like, yeah, honey, I'm feeling really stressed out because we're fighting. And this is what I did, by the way. We're fighting and I don't like fighting and it causes me a lot of stress because my parents, et cetera, when I was a child. And so I'm peeling back the layers and I'm expressing my emotions in a productive way to my spouse, but also addressing the root cause of why you use porn at the same time. So you're addressing porn without talking about porn. This is why I keep saying, guys, that porn has really nothing to do with porn itself. Of course, porn is addictive. Of course, the industry is after us. Of course, we're visual creatures, all of that, and we're sexual beings. But those are factors. Let me make that really clear. There are factors that contribute to a porn addiction, but the reason you choose to use porn is different. The reason you choose to use porn is there is a root cause for it. And usually it is a singular stressor, or at least there is one singular stressor that is the biggest stressor that is causing you to always go back to porn, okay? So I want you guys to have the practice of peeling the onion anytime you feel urges or triggers, or you just have that feeling and you're like, oh, today it's been a few days or a few weeks or months, and I just feel like the urge is coming, like the temptation is coming. What can I do? Like, just go out and write it down, or just pray or meditate, whatever you need to do. Just peel back the onion, ask yourself why, and then share that with somebody. Or if you can't share with somebody, share it with me, or share it with a group, accountability group, or anything like that, and you will see success. Just to reiterate how important this is one of the 2 most important things to get right if you want to beat porn for good, because if you don't address this, you will always keep porn with your life as part of your life, because it is the easiest way for you to escape difficult situations and emotions.
Okay, did you get something about your root cause? Let me know in the comments down below. I actually do want to hear from you guys. And also, there's a free program if you want to join that at benuyama.com for 30 days. It's my best work just for you guys for free, description down below. And also, you can get Covenant Eyes with our code BEN, Ben. All right, let's look, see you.